all of our conversations somehow keep circling back to sex. And I don't know
Well, that's just because there's a lot of perverts on the internet.
Exactly.
Like Liam.
3 right here.
And
Yes,
Sophie.
there's
and
3
me.
of us.
We're the 3 biggest perverts on the internet.
True story. Another true story.
True story, cut. That feels like a big editor problem to me as well.
Big editor.
Welcome
problem,
back
honestly.
to another episode of the Blue Banana Podcast. I am Manu, today the head of Banana Town. And with me I have 2 other fantastic bananas in the middle. The blue banana, the one and only Sophie. How are you doing today?
I'm alright.
That's cool. Nice. Moving on the other side of the aisle, we have the other yellow banana, the peel that holds it all together, the one and only Liam. How's it going, Liam?
Hi, that's me. I am also all right, Manu.
How many thumbs do you have, Liam?
About this many, roughly.
That's a good amount of thumbs.
Approximately.
Getting right into the podcast today. Enough of this chit chat. It bores me. And I'm throwing stuff up my desk in rage.
Enough of this socially awkward chit-chat.
Since we had a very good run in the recent episodes with anime topics, I do want to disillusion our audience right away, not getting them too used to the anime sphere. And I want to talk about something related, but still different. Man, who knows? Knowing us, we'll probably still touch on it anyways. But I want to talk about the question, will technology destroy us, or will it make us better as a species in the future? And what your takes are on technology overall as YouTubers, what expectations you have for the future, and I want to predict the future with you guys today a little bit. Technology and society-wise.
Great.
We already discussed that Sophie will probably turn out to be like a super right-wing.
Oh yeah. Hard right Sophie incoming.
What's your guys' take in general? Like, are you guys techies in general, or just whatever about technology? Like, what's like gadgets recently maybe that you've really fallen in love with, except virtual table tennis? or including, sure, why not?
Oh, let's include it. Yes. I guess I'll start this off very disappointingly. I am not a techie. I am a very late adopter when it comes to technology. My wife should probably replace me because she is the early adopter of all of the things.
So at least you have someone in the house.
Yes. Pretty much everything I have is something that Chantel bought, and then I went, that's kind of cool, and then I got my own. Including the microphone, actually. Chantel was the first one to get the Shure SM7B.
What is she using it for voice acting and stuff, or just in general?
Yeah, and podcasting, streaming as well.
Nice.
And such.
What about you, Sophie? What's your inner techie?
I'm an even delayed techie, and then basically, so Liam follows Chantel, gets the mic. I follow Liam, get the mic. So after Liam bought the Shure SM7B, I got myself one because I was like, damn, that sounds nice.
So you're the third in line, basically.
Exactly.
The late adopter.
Who's the fourth? Do you pass on your tech knowledge to someone?
No, I'm about as late as you can get.
Alright,
If it gets to me, I'm last in line, baby.
Alright, so if anyone ever comes to you and is like, Sophie, you gotta teach me what tech you use, you're like, dude, you're like 8 generations too late to this party.
Basically.
I should say that when it comes to technology, the one thing I am heavily invested in is, of course, theatrical lighting. Because I used to be a lighting designer, so I own all of my own gear. In fact, this entire office is run off, I would guess, probably the most advanced lighting system in One Piece YouTube, which is an ETC Nomad for anyone who... No one will know what year this is.
Maybe there's probably
It's a
gonna be one
challenge.
dude.
But
You know,
also...
Yeah,
actually,
someone's gonna comment.
do I count? Because I do know that light. Do I count? No?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I think you
Liam
can.
left
Liam's
the studio in
left
protest.
in protest.
Manu, the ETC Nomad is not a light, it's control software. But speaking of technology, I recently got myself one of these out of curiosity. It's a very adorable little moving light.
Party light.
Looks like a bit like
That
a
I-
robot. Something out
Yes.
of
Like-
Wall-E.
A mini
So
rave.
in a lighting grid, you would hang them upside down like that. And then
but
they
you
would do all sorts of fun stuff.
place it on the
I
ground.
have no idea what I'm going to do with it. It's
Have
just
a
been
disco
one of those
party.
things I've wanted for a
It's
while.
a toy.
Liam's bringing back his rave days, and he's going to have
Yeah.
a rave back in his room.
They are incredibly useful for independent theater.
Did you see that 15-year-old guy? Like, there's a 15-year-old boy on Twitch who got really famous over the weekend because he's like threw a rave in his room every time he killed someone. I'm not sure what game it was. I don't remember. So he got really famous for that really fast suddenly. So every time he'd shoot someone, it like, wait, you should. I'll send you a link later. It's pretty cool. He has like flamethrowers and everything in the back. It's pretty dope.
So intense.
I would love to do something like that. That is one of my ultimate dreams, to have this like incredibly complex setup that I could use for videos or streaming or something along those lines.
Dude, it's super. That's super creative. Oh yeah, it's this dude. Wait, let me link it to you. It's such a creative thing to do, honestly.
Holy shit.
He's going crazy, man. And so he does that every time.
What the?
So Liam, you have to match that guy's light setup also
Yeah.
in your room.
So apart from the flamethrower, not actually particularly difficult.
That'd be fun, dude. That's like a free to use idea for you. Every time you say Luffy Gear 5, it's like Gear 5. Dun dun.
This is the kind of reason why I'd like a studio space, though, because it has that sort of depth about it. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fixtures, not including the flamethrower.
You have to include the flamethrower.
2 of them are just happy tubes, and then you've got some lasers. It's so
Still
good.
really cool. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah, because
good.
everything's pointing at the camera, you get that nice lens flare about it, and it's just like, I love it so much.
And he's just like going, dude, that's really cool. Yeah. No, lighting is definitely like a big thing. Is there like anything in general technology-wise like out there in the world right now that you're like involved in that you want to see? Like, for example, one thing we could talk about, which I'm super interested in, is the new space telescope, the John Webb Space Telescope.
Okay, we went from lighting to space telescope.
Yeah, that was a very big jump.
Whoops. Well, we can make it smaller.
I have no idea about this space
Yeah, I'm
telescope.
looking
Tell
this
me,
up.
tell me everything.
You know about Hubble probably, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so and like Hubble already was basically or enabled a lot of discoveries when it came to, you know, space exploration and so on and so forth. I'm gonna be very careful with what I say here because I have a lot of half knowledge here. But I do want to say over the last over 10 years, for billions of dollars, multiple space agencies together, like the European one and NASA and so on and so forth, developed this super expensive new space telescope that is way, way better with way better specs, that has way better resolution also. That launched, I think, earlier this year in spring, and it takes a while to calibrate and everything.
Apparently it got hit by something.
Yeah, that's the first article I see.
Oh, recently?
Seems
That's
like
not
it.
good.
A micro-meteoroid strike. Micro-meteoroid strike, sorry.
Metroid. Put it in the comments. Put it in the
Samus.
comments.
Yeah, it is a apparently $10 billion space telescope that sees the infrared part of the spectrum. That's fun. It was launched on Christmas Day.
Oh, it's quite recent.
Yeah. It's super recent. And it's like, it still almost hasn't produced anything, but they're like expecting to get a lot of new insights into like the creation of the universe and like what the universe looks like from this telescope. So it's actually fairly exciting stuff.
At the cheap cost of $10 billion, eh?
I mean,
Well, honestly,
you might be
looking at-
sarcastic, but $10 billion actually
I'm not-
doesn't sound very expensive.
I'm not being
I would've-
sarcastic. Considering
okay,
that
yeah,
the Australian
right.
government just paid France an almost $1 billion settlement for like our broken submarine deal.
Yeah.
Like $10 billion, it seems all right.
Yeah, I'd rather spend
Yeah.
it on this. Like, again, as you said, there's billions of dollars are spent on really stupid stuff every single year. I'd rather spend it on that stuff, on
Yeah.
like science and
Something
stuff like
that furthers our
Science.
understanding of life, the universe, and everything, rather than because our prime minister, broke a deal.
Yeah.
I want to know the story behind that because I'm not aware of your submarine story here.
Okay, so fuck.
Technology.
This is because Australia does not have nuclear submarines. So our former government, now we've recently
Do you
had an
need-
election, we have a new government. We want nuclear submarines.
Is Australia nuclear power?
Do we?
No, they've been trying. I think they've been trying to bring one into the Northern Territory for a while.
No, yeah. Australia has never had a nuclear power station.
Why do you need the nuclear submarines then?
Warfare.
For defense, question mark? I don't know, but
Yeah.
we've been in talks with France.
Oh, is it nuclear as in nuclear powered? Is that it?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't know.
All right.
That's not the important part of the story. The important
I
part of the
feel
story
that's.
is that
I mean, it's kind of important, though. It's like Australia casually becoming a nuclear power. It's like, oh, mate, can't help it.
Basically, we had an agreement with France for them to produce nuclear submarines for us. However, our prime minister approached another country behind
Any
France's
guesses?
back.
Right.
Yeah, guess
Oh.
which
Any
country
guess
it was.
which country we decided to join up with?
All right, I would say. Do I get 3 guesses? I would say guess number 1, US.
If you need it.
Ding 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 ding.
You do
Okay.
not need 3 guesses.
My next one would have been China or something weird.
Oh God, no.
No, we have very poor relations with China at the moment.
Yeah, relationship was terrible with China right now.
Didn't you change your government recently, by the way?
Yes, we
I said
did.
that.
Very
We
recent.
did.
sorry.
So this was our
Yeah.
former prime minister who did
Okay.
that. And the president of France, Macron, who Oda gave
Yes.
a color spread for One Piece, by the way, just to tie that in, because France, amazing One Piece loving nation, vive la France. Macron called Scott Morrison, our former prime minister, out on the world stage, like literally called him a liar. And so now that our new government has come in, we're trying to get, buddy-buddy with France again, and we've paid almost $1 billion as an apology, just so that we can be friends again. That's $1 billion just down the drain, not benefiting Australia at all.
Well, I mean,
So I
diplomatic,
would rather
at
1/10
least.
of a telescope.
Yeah. Or we could ask for Macron's One Piece color page in exchange for Scott Morrison's $1 billion.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind that deal.
That's good.
Absolutely.
It's probably worth that.
I think that submarine deal is also with the UK, no? I think it's US, UK, and then now we're joining in. Or am I
Potentially.
mistaken?
I just know what we did to France.
Did you find out whether it's nuclear powered submarines or actual like nuclear carrying submarines?
I
No,
doubt
it would be nuclear
carries
powered.
nukes.
Yeah, it would be nuclear powered, I imagine.
I think that would be a big concern because all of the nuclear nations do not want any of the other nations to have nukes.
Yeah.
That's also something in general. Where do you see? Because that's kind of the question I want to work towards.
Nuclear power for the Blue Banana podcast.
Yes, I was thinking
Power
whether we
the
should
blue
become.
banana.
Become a member so that we can get our own nuclear power plant.
Yes, and power the blue banana from the inside. No, my original question was like, in general, do you see the way technology is evolving at the moment? Is that something you're worried about for the future, or is that something you rather feel optimistic about? Like, oh, all these like crazy things, like the space telescope that can like look into the depth of the universe, but at the same time we have Twitter. so good and evil balance each
Which
other.
can look into the depth of
Yeah.
humanity. Yes.
Yeah, in the darkest and deepest depth. Yeah, Sophie, how do you feel about that?
Okay, well, I said this at the beginning before we even started the episode. This is where my cynicism is going to go hard today.
I
And
like
I think
that.
it's gotten
I like
worse ever since I started my new job because it's so in the tech field. My work is like primarily in the internet industry. So I'm learning
right.
so much that I've become even more jaded about the state of the world than I already was.
Enlighten us, please. You have to elaborate. You can't just like put that out there and then be like, anyways, what's your opinion?
Yeah, no, of course. So basically one of the key concerns right now, I mean, understandably with like the geopolitical conflicts going on. So there's a lot of cybersecurity issues, right? And cybersecurity is probably the biggest problem that every government is facing globally. So there are lots of like new laws coming in where I feel that the government is perhaps encroaching a lot on our civil liberties under the guise of protection. But then at the same time, it's crazy what businesses get up to as well. So for example, I remember I was watching this, I had to attend some sort of seminar or a webinar or something. And you know those like tracking devices for kids for protection
What?
that parents might get? Parents, yeah, you know those tracking bracelets to keep children safe. Sounds like a Black Mirror episode, but they exist.
It does.
And I don't know. Yeah, they exist. And basically the idea is to, you know, so that they can hear the child in case they're in danger and things like that. And someone was producing one under the, when the intention, let's even give the benefit of the doubt and say the intention was to protect the child. But a lot of these, but a lot of the times, these sort of technology don't have the adequate firewall or safeguards actually put in so that when someone looked into the actual build-up, the software of this technology, you could use the backlog to actually find out, like there was just no, like lack of password, lack of any sort of encryption data, so that someone could actually go in and just through the back end, find where a child would be located, find, you know, the child's address, you know, all the like
Where
just
it is
through,
right now.
yeah, like through the IP address and things, because a lot of the times these things aren't protected properly. Even Alexas, you know, a lot of our Internet of Things that we've got.
So they made pedophile Tinder, basically. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, yeah, anyone. It's really interesting learning about it, but like I said, I can't help but feel like about it, because even things like Alexas and a lot of the
dude,
Internet
Alexa.
of Things that we've got around.
Alexa fucking scares the shit out of me, I swear.
Yeah, things like that scare the crap out of me as well. I cannot for the life of me understand why you would want it, because I don't like the idea of being under more surveillance than I know that I already am.
I mean, we all probably have that experience, right? And it's happened a lot more over recent years to me, where you like talk about something.
And then you get served like targeted ads.
Yeah, it used to be you Google it and then it suddenly pops up. It's creepy enough, but like we've all gotten used to that. But now it's you talk about it. You don't even put it in your phone and you get targeted ads on it. Like that's already scary as shit.
My wife and I did a test one day. We just kept talking about a particular brand of car for like 20 minutes just to see if ads would eventually show up, and they absolutely did.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
terrifying.
It doesn't even have
I
to be
did the
20 minutes.
exactly
Sometimes
same
I do it
thing.
once, twice, and it comes up. I mention something once and it'll come up later that day. I've had friends who have thought about something. I think the extent to which the development of targeted ads has progressed is that they're actually able to
Read your mind?
forecast, not so much read your mind, but sort of they're able to forecast what
Pretty
you're
much.
interested in.
To forecast your desires.
They're able to feed you what they know that you're going to want before you even say it.
Yeah, I had a course in my studies because it was like business engineering, and I had a course on recommender systems. So how to program basically recommendation systems for like what Amazon and so on and so forth has. And like, I mean, it's really interesting, but it's really scary because basically the user profiles everyone has, Amazon, Google, is like, it's scary. They know you almost better than you do. Like they'll recommend you shit that you don't even know you want, but once they recommend it to you, you kind of like, oh, that looks interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens all the time. Like, I recently fell victim to this, I suppose. I got recommended an ad for, like, this sort of video game memorabilia site where this person makes these amazing dioramas, and I just immediately bought 2 of them after being recommended it out of nowhere, or seemingly nowhere.
So we're on the pretty negative side of things. I have a funny story. My older sister really just appreciates Instagram targeted ads. And she's like, I think she's the only person that I know who doesn't get annoyed or upset by this. And she goes, this is a free service that I am being provided. How great is this? Why are we whining when it's such a convenient service where I am being recommended things that I do actually like? So thank you very much.
I will say that's how I feel about YouTube, which is actually why I recently just made or not super recently, it's been a while ago that I just made a second like private account, because I assume like just like you guys, there's a lot of stuff you look up for like research purposes regarding One Piece or YouTube or whatever, like learning something. But I actually want to have a decent algorithm, and like for the longest time my algorithm was just not things I do want to watch privately because it was very work focused.
Yes.
And so my recommended was a mix of like YouTube, like other One Piece creators, One Piece clips, like tech how-tos, whatever, YouTube. And I'm like, I kind of want to chill right now, YouTube, please. So it's been good to split that. So now I have 2 personas on YouTube.
I have had a second personal YouTube account for years now because of your exact
smart.
problem.
I think I have multiple YouTube accounts just because I have multiple email addresses that I've accumulated over the years, and I've just never signed out on some of them.
Well, I have a funny
your
story
devil's
to
advocate
share as well.
Well, go on.
No. Please, devil advocate first.
No.
I refuse. No.
I refuse.
Sorry, you guys are gonna have to do it by cis paper rock.
Yeah, we're gonna have to jerk each other off.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Rock, paper,
Jerk each other off.
Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, the podcast back to its root.
Rock, paper, scissors, cock.
No, with the
Devil's advocate.
Cock.
Like,
Fun fact. Cock loses against scissors.
And rock, I imagine.
Depends how bloody you want to go.
Devil's advocate, because I don't think we explored this enough. We sort of brought it up. You could make the argument that targeted ads are actually a good thing because they feed you what you want to be seen generally, like what happened with me. I would never have known that those funky dioramas existed if they weren't specifically targeted at my profile.
Yeah, I mean, and that is the point, right? So if we're taking the cynicism out of it, they are actually trying to provide you a service. And sort of as an extension of that is Google search or any sort of search.
You guys are going in a very dangerous direction. You know that, right? We're getting very philosophical philosophical here.
Whatever that word is you're trying to say, we're not doing that. Sophie.
It's like what is it? Google search recommendations as well. So for example, something that I've really noticed in very recent times is that, say for example, I'm trying to figure out something for editing and I'll go, okay, there's a problem with my Final Cut, this transition not working in Final Cut. So I'll search that in first. Don't find the appropriate help page, and then I'll start typing in something else, but then it'll already know to give me different products, but still within Final Cut Pro before I even type in an F or something. Or if I just say, so if I just go how to fix transition, it'll populate in Final Cut Pro, or like editing in Final Cut Pro or something.
I mean, I think you're talking about something, and I think that actually, thank you for bringing it up, because I think that ties nicely into today's topic in a lot of ways.
Technology?
yeah and like if it's good or bad, really, because I think these recommender systems are, as you say, like you could play devil's advocate and say, well, doesn't it make life easy in a way? But that goes in a similar direction, I would say, as the question, for example, well, why shouldn't everyone be surveilled all the time if you don't have anything to hide, kind of that sort of argument. It's the privacy argument, right? Where should someone be able to make a profile of you and like recommend you stuff for your money without you consenting to do that actively?
Because it
right?
could get
But you
to a
have
really
consented to do
dystopian
that.
place where Sophie.
We have? No, we have. If you sign up, I guarantee you we will all have consented to some shady shit.
Legally we have. But yeah.
Well, that's actually one of the few areas where the European Union...
Yeah, it's the GDPU thing, right?
Yeah, well, the European Union is the only collection of countries, really, that enforces a lot of these privacy laws that, like, these websites have to take on because they still want to obviously serve the EU as well. So, for example, the fact that there has to be an unsubscribe from this email newsletter in every email by law is due to the EU, or the fact that if you, like, someone wants to be like, you also want to sign up for the newsletter and download this app, and like everything is already pre-checked. Like, you're not allowed to do that because the EU had laws for that. I mean, there's negative sides as well. For example, the upload filters, the notorious ones. But in general, I think it's good that there's at least something done in terms of protecting everyone's rights. Which is kind of like, isn't there a clause also? Sophie, you're the lawyer, right? I remember from my law courses, the very limited things I remember, that you can't just hide a very important clause somewhere in a long text and be like, oh, but it was actually, and you signed it, so now it's done.
Yeah.
Like, if it's something very important, you kind of have to explicitly state it, right?
It depends. I mean, I think you'd be talking about like contracts in general. It's like, I imagine, between businesses as well.
But I couldn't just give you like AGBs, or I couldn't give you a contract and be like, hey, I'll sell you this like pack of M&Ms for like $100.
Exactly.
And then there's a lot of product description here, and then somewhere in the middle of like 8 pages, like on page 7, between like different colors, I put in, oh, by the way, if you eat a red M&M, you have to, I don't know, I get your couch for free or whatever. And I'm like, haha, you signed that.
I think there is a standard rule like that for contracts. But then I think the problem comes with, terms and conditions, which no one reads because they're God knows how long. And so a lot of apps, I think TikTok, from what I hear, tends to be the worst one.
I mean, it's basically from the Chinese government, right? So there's actually, I'm not sure how true this is, but there's actually, have you heard about this? There's a theory out there that TikTok is gathering a shit ton of facial data and like building facial profiles of like all its users and stuff. So the Chinese government can basically, I'm not sure how true that is, but that's something I've come across.
It sounds like very conspiratorial.
It does sound very,
does it?
Yeah, very much like a conspiracy, but also, exactly. You could see it happening. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Chinese
needed.
Government.
Not just
could be any
citation
government. Could be a company.
Yeah, no. Fair enough.
Could be Mark Zuckerberg.
We're talking about the social credit system country here. Going back to your point, Liam, what you said about, this like recommended system going very utopian or dystopian, rather to say, at a certain point. You could already argue that it's kind of unethical. For example, Google, what you said, recommends you stuff, but a lot of it is also monetized. So people pay to be put and target you directly, right? And sell you their products because they know you're probably more susceptible to it. Even though you might not need it, but you might just be susceptible to it.
Yes, it can be quite predatory in a way.
Yeah, the beauty industry, for example, like, marketing runs basically on You're Ugly by Cream, and then like it'll probably look for, I want to sell this new product.
That is a fantastic brand, by the way, Manu. You're Ugly by Cream.
By me.
By Cream. by Cream. By Manu. Well, but like I could just say, like, I could literally go and target like girls between 16 and 24 who have Googled bad
That's
skin.
going to be taken out of context.
No, but you can. No, but what I'm saying is you could technically go and you could go as a marketing company to say, I have a new product, I have a concealer, for example, and I'm just gonna target 16 to 24-year-olds that have looked up like I have bad skin, what to do, or like acne or whatever, and I could basically exploit your insecurity by micro-targeting you with my ads. So that's what is happening already right now. But then what's already happening or could be happening on top of that is like the Facebook thing. What they did is basically not only using that data for their own so they could recommend you more friends. So you can have more nice friends on Facebook. But they also sell the data to other companies. Without your consent. So they're like, oh, we want to know when your birthday is and how tall you are so you can share it on your profile. But then they actually, collect a shit ton of data and like give it off to like, I don't know, a pharma company or whatever, like whatever. Who knows? Private companies who do with that data, whatever. And so I feel like that's when it gets really problematic. Like all the trading that's done with the data and private data.
Correct.
It's the biggest shock that I found out was how Uber sells data so that even when people aren't necessarily riding in the car, they just track where people are throughout the day. So because that you have to use location services, right? You use location services to use Uber. I imagine that there are some sort of privacy settings you can turn on. But yeah, basically what they do is they actually sell that data. They know where you are throughout the day and they sell that data to other companies. And that is big surveillance.
Wasn't there something where like government was also like the NSA and stuff was buying data also from like...
Yeah, I'm sure government.
You have like all time. Yeah, everyone has access suddenly to like data that's like you were like, oh, I have to put this in to use this app. But nowhere does it say, oh, or probably, as you said, Sophie, somewhere in the terms.
Buried somewhere, yes.
Which I find very problematic.
One of the funniest things is, like you said, Manu, how in the EU you guys have laws about certain things that need to be clearly stated in websites. And that's something that we're bringing into Australia and we've been trying to bring in for a while now as well. So I think there are certain rules about notifying how websites use your cookies.
I like cookies. Why did they call it cookies?
I don't know why.
Cookies.
To just disarm you, basically, for that purpose. Like, you want my cookies? I'll give you my cookies. I'm a nice person. I'll give you cookies.
Ooh, I get a cookie? Excellent.
I'll say
a cookie
yes.
is a small bit of information. It was coined from the term magic cookies that derives from a fortune cookie, a cookie with an embedded message.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Very metaphorical. But anyways, in websites, because they have that law, certain companies actually do have like notifications that pop up saying, we use your data for this, and this purpose. But also, because the laws, I don't think, are so clearly defined or as strict yet, there are also some companies or there are also some websites where basically you can't use their website until you just allow them to basically mine all your data and mine your cookies. So it's like, what's the point in that? Like at that point, if you really need to use that website or if you really wanted to use that website, most people will just say, okay, all right, I'll accept because I don't really understand what this means. And they can say, well, I've ticked that off. I've notified them that I'm using your data or I'm accept all cookies.
And it's kind of scary how, I'm not sure if you ever catch yourself just clicking like, okay, whatever. I just want to use this right now.
Yeah, all the
and you
time.
click like cookies, oh, whatever.
That is my perpetual existence.
I've become very careful ever since I started working. My boss actually recommends that you actually read all the terms and conditions, and I haven't gotten to that stage yet. I'm like, there's no freaking way I have the time to read the entire terms and conditions.
But every time I do it, I catch myself being like, you should stop doing, just giving every stupid website consent to use cookies. Anyways, I think you also had something you wanted to share, Liam.
How did you know? Can you read my mind, Manu? If so, get out.
We've mined your data, Liam.
You've mined my mind data.
That is mind-blowing. Should get the aluminium head back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wear that just in my private time.
for fashion purposes.
Going back to a thing we were talking about where we brought up governments and such, not gonna lie, completely completely forgotten. It was a long time ago now, like 15 minutes or so. I was wondering if either of you, because this impacts technology and recommendations and suggestions significantly, have either of you heard of Bill C-11 coming out of Canada?
I've gotten a video repeatedly recommended to me of a YouTuber going and trying to stop it, but I never took the time to actually watch it and what it's about.
Essentially, Bill C-11 would give the Canadian government power to control how Canadian residents are fed content on various platforms such as YouTube. And the reasoning for it is basically, at least what they say, is because they want to promote Canadian creators. So if you're a viewer in Canada, your government could be, well, in fact, if this passes, your government will be feeding you the content it chooses.
Does that mean they can
great.
censor certain creators completely as well?
I suppose. Again, here is how it is. The bill would give extensive new powers to the Canadian Radio, Television and Communications Commission, a government regulator, to decide how content is presented to Canadian viewers on platforms like YouTube, and require platforms to make financial contributions to produce the CanCon. Is the what it's called. It sounds rather fun, but it's not.
CanCon. Can you do the CanCon?
Basically, Canadian creative content. So it's trying to control YouTube and make YouTube. It's trying to do the Trump thing. We are going to build a thing and we're going to make YouTube pay for it.
And that's going to push back on, I suppose, content creators. That's going to cut into our revenue.
Potentially, the scary one is Canadian content creators, I would say.
That's the same story again, what I talked about earlier with the European case, where kind of the European case so far had a positive impact because companies actually, well, kind of begrudgingly put in more privacy things for the entire world because they didn't want to lose Europe. But I guess in this case, it's kind of the other way around, where it's or with the upload filters that were kind of decided in the European Parliament, where it's kind of like, how do you implement that into a platform into a global platform like YouTube without splitting it up?
So here's an interesting thing from a YouTube concern. Manu, can I get your opinion on something? If someone forced 100,000 miscellaneous viewers onto your channel, how do you think that would impact things like your retention?
Great, because my channel is flawless, and even if you don't watch One Piece, you'll love it.
You'll stay for me.
No, obviously,
for
no,
the
obviously,
Manu.
yeah, maybe for our audience who are not full-time YouTubers, like just getting random view, which is like why buying subs never works, and like it won't get you anywhere, because YouTube will just, if YouTube sees that the people it's dishing out your content to don't watch it and don't like it, it'll just stop recommending your content altogether.
Yes. So imagine the chaos that it would cause with like the massive chunk of viewers from Canada. I believe they're in my top 10, actually, countries of most viewed. If the government is allowed to control what they view, the government is probably not going to be as sophisticated as YouTube with choosing what content to dish out. So even if it did benefit a Canadian content creator, even if Canada was like, let's funnel views to this Canadian YouTuber, like, they're not doing it properly, I should say. And so you could get a ton of views, but if no one stays, if they just click right off, then it's going to tank that video and it's going to tank the performance of the channel as a whole.
Though at least that goes across the board, no? For most YouTubers, because they're just all going to get random Canadian viewers coming in. Maybe it's good for the maple syrup homemaking DIY channels.
The big theory about this is that this is an example of old media trying to reclaim the digital space, because in the end it's going to come under their jurisdiction. So I guess the idea is that, the Canadian government would funnel recommendations of, local news, not local, but like established media news channels and talk shows and stuff like that. Just pushing the old guard.
I don't even understand how it would work, because YouTube is a private company. I don't understand how the Canadian government would be able to control that. Is it providing laws on like how YouTube operates in Canada, that YouTube has to implement these, services
within
themselves,
Canada.
or is
Otherwise, they would cease to operate in Canada, I imagine, if they don't follow the law.
It's a bizarre thing, because I think we talked about this, I suppose, with when we were talking about crypto recently as well, because the internet, it's not privately owned, it's publicly owned, but it's not government owned. The internet from its conception has been something where people can all make use and contribute to publicly. So it's a very bizarre space that governments all around the world try to keep sort of like parcelizing it and, in like make new laws so that they have greater jurisdiction with like, where they have jurisdiction. But then at the same time, they can do it because it's like, yeah, but then it's an unregulated space, the dangers online, security, yada, yada, yada.
That's why I picked this topic, because it's such a complex and nuanced topic. For example, the example we're talking about right now with Canada is an example of how it's terrible to have the government, trying to control the internet and social media. But on the other hand, there's a lot of areas where I wish there was a lot more, real life control over things. Like one thing, I'm not sure if we talked about this on the podcast before. There's like a very famous comedian in Germany who did like an experiment where they basically tried to report certain crimes committed on the internet to the police all across Europe in like all federal states. It was things that were like very legal in Germany, like, posting swastikas and stuff like that. And so what happened is that mostly in most states, the police was just like, well, it's the internet. What the fuck? We're not doing this, right? Kind of like, but it is technically still a crime. So the question is, you want it to be free speech, but you still want to be able to distinguish between free speech and hate speech, right? And like crimes, I think, which is a very nuanced and complex thing. And obviously everyone has a different idea of how much I should be allowed to do in the like online and how much I shouldn't be.
So what's your solution for this, Manu?
Don't post the swastika.
That's why
my recommendation to you is next time don't post the swastika, and then they'll let you back into Germany. You won't have to live in Japan anymore.
Well, actually, here in Japan, it's a sign for a temple.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. This is a small fun fact. When I first moved here, and that's probably something many people experience because I know like other people, especially as a German. I was looking at a map and it was just like filled, like the entire map of Tokyo filled with swastikas, and I was like, what the actual fuck is going on? And then it turns out, well, that's the kanji for Buddhist temple. It comes from like the Hindu Buddhist sign for like fertility or something. And so like that's been used for like millennia for like Hindu Buddhist temples in China, also in Japan. But like the first time I saw it, I was like, what the actual hell? And like you see it obviously on temples as well. Like sometimes it's just there, yeah. Or like famously in Bleach,
yes,
the famous
Bankai.
Bleach sword. Yes. I'm not sure if you've seen that. The Bankai. Again, also like the Buddhist.
In fact, the Ban in Bankai is that kanji.
Because they're all in the spirit world and stuff.
Wasn't Whitebeard's?
Yeah, Weissbeard.
Weissbeard, yeah.
The brother of Whitebeard.
Whitebeard's original Jolly Roger in One Piece was that symbol as well, because it just meant power. And so Ace essentially had like a swastika tattoo on his back that they got rid of.
Or Tokyo Revengers, where they really tried hard to censor it out of the anime.
I'm not familiar with Tokyo Revengers.
I didn't see it.
It's basically the entire, like the logo of the gang that the main character is a part of.
Wow,
is
right.
also, it's the Manju gang. That's the kanji.
Right.
They tried really hard. It's really awkward. It resulted in a lot of, I mean, I didn't know because I didn't read the manga, but like manga readers kept telling me how awkwardly it was cropped out and like censored in the anime. Okay, also quick tangent. I mean, censorship kind of falls into technology as well, I think. Did you see the image of how they censored Spy Family in China the other week?
Yes, I saw that. Oh my god.
All right, you look it up, okay? If you don't find it, I'll send it to you. So basically what happened is you had a scene where Yoru, the wife, was covered in blood. It was a flashback, I think, where she like her face is covered in blood.
Oh my god. That is so much worse.
Yes.
They tried to edit out the blood, so it just looks like she has like, it looks like a hentai, like she had like cum all over her face.
Okay, that explains that, because I saw a meme on Twitter with Whitebeard's death standing up, and he was just covered in white as well, and I was like, the fuck? Who came on Whitebeard and why?
Dude, it's so much worse.
Sometimes you really wonder, like, does no one look at it and go, hang on a second? There's a team. Surely there's a team that considers, what goes out, what airs before they air it. And it's an entire team that decided, yes, that is acceptable.
I'm sending you guys something because this is obviously taken off, and this is a screenshot taken from Higurashi, allegedly Chinese censorship version.
Lying.
Dude, it makes it so much worse.
Maybe that should be the thumbnail, just all of us with white substances.
Oh god. Okay.
Nice, yeah. I'm down.
Well, Manu, it's your job to make it.
The title could be Censored in China or something.
Yeah, dude. This will be censored in China.
Blue banana got censored in China.
This has been censored.
It would be kind of cool to have like Liam's face like American Psycho with like the blood over his face and then like a split screen. Was that what you wanted to say, Liam, earlier? The government thing?
Yes, the thing it is that I said it.
Yes, you did. The thing.
Thank you, Sophie.
That
I
you
don't
did.
remember the thing.
Sophie.
Did you say the thing?
Do you have things, Sophie?
Do I have thing? I have many a thing.
Okay, give me one. A thing, now.
Something that I actually find really creepy is iPhones and what is it called when they take a photo and then it's like motion camera? It's a live camera. It's a live photo. Are you guys aware of what I'm
Yes,
talking about? Live
Chantel has
photos?
those.
Oh,
And they basically like function as videos.
Yeah, sort of like mini videos. It blew my mind when I realized what that means is your camera is on all the time and was recording you even before you pressed the capture button, because otherwise how would it have captured those, like split seconds before you actually press that button? So it's always on, it's always recording you. How creepy is that?
but don't you think it's just always recording when it's on camera mode?
How can you be sure?
Yeah, how would you know though?
I mean, I'm not. I know isn't that the famous debate also where like Mark Zuckerberg has like a sticker over his webcam and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've seen.
And everyone went like, we knew it! There's a bunch of people right now on Reddit hacking into Liam's webcam, watching him work all day in his little tiny room.
I was going to say, wasn't there a website back in the early days of the internet when webcams were so easy to hack into, where it was kind of like a chat roulette? You would just go in, select a random person's webcam to watch. I'm pretty sure this existed.
I mean, I don't doubt it, honestly. I think that's where that came from.
I don't doubt it either, because it's still possible to do that now with people's Alexas and things like that. That's what I was saying earlier, that's where bots live. So basically what happens when people talk about bots, what they're saying is that like a hacker will hack into other people's like Alexas or whatever smart devices that you have at home because they're so poorly protected, and then they use that, they control that to attack like whatever other systems or software. And that's what they mean by bots. Because I've always wondered, like, what on earth does it mean to actually have a bot? Where does a bot come from? How do you unleash a bot? It's because you need an actual IP address. And so all of your devices have an IP address, and they're just so badly protected that there's just no firewall that people can hack into it, use that, control it to do other, cyber malware activity.
Why do you say it like that?
I don't know. I was trying to find words.
And some people do other cyber malware activities.
It did sound very sensual towards the end there.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Ooh, what other malware?
Maybe I want to install some malware now.
It's like, I want to do some cyber activity. That's what are we talking about? I mean, that kind of brings us circle back to the listening part earlier. Listen, like your phone listening in. I actually wanted to talk about Alexa a bit more because I feel like that's the even more creepy version of your phone listening, because your phone kind of, at least, I guess the companies at least know that they're kind of like doing something bad there. And so I'm not sure how advanced that actually is, but with your Alexa, you basically have like someone who's training every single day to understand you better and send data back to Jeff Bezos.
And it's not just Alexa either. We have a Google Home upstairs, which frequently hears things that we did not intend it to hear. And then it just goes, "Did-didn't, I didn't quite get that." Or it does get that and then forwards us somewhere.
Yeah.
To cyber activity.
Oh, yeah.
A cyber malware activity.
So many cyber activities.
The table tennis experience.
Oh.
My dad bought me a Google Home for my graduation gift. I'm not someone who rejects presents because I think it's rude. But then I looked at it and I went, Dad, I really don't want this. I'm never going to use it. I think it's really creepy. I'm never going to install it. I think you should get your money back. And because I couldn't even tell him, like, you use it, because I said, I don't think you should use this either.
That thought always scares me. Like, especially as you said, Sophie, like thinking that your camera might be on. Even without the light showing, right? On your phone or on your laptop.
Exactly.
Like if someone's in that camera, yeah. I mean, I guess as a dude, I'm not as worried. Like as someone looking at me sitting, like eating chips and drinking beer while I'm like scratching my balls in front of my screen. I'm like, cool, if you're into that, do it.
I'm sure there's a niche for that.
Yeah. It's my only fan.
I'm not worried about people watching me scratch my balls either.
There's a definite niche for that, Sophie.
But I don't know, as a girl, I feel like if I were a girl, I'd be way more conscious of it, I think. Sadly, just because I feel like women are perverted in that sense.
Yep.
Definitely.
Good thing we're all on the same page there.
All of our conversations somehow keep circling back to sex. And I don't know
Well, that's just because there's a lot of perverts on the internet.
Exactly.
Like Liam
3 right here.
and
Yes,
Sophie.
There's
and
3
me.
of us.
We're the 3 biggest perverts on the internet.
True story. Another true story.
True story, cut.
True story.
True story, podcast ends.
Sophie's a pervert. So this is at least
Cut.
So many clippable things in this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
So this is at least anecdotally true. But basically, when the internet first started, apparently there really wasn't anyone using the internet, because if you could think back to when the internet started, you can imagine like there would be no content, right? You'd go on, people were like, oh, the internet's a thing. All right, I'll check this out. You get there and it's like, oh, there's not much to do here. And apparently when the internet really boomed is when a sex tape of Pamela Anderson
Yes, and Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
I lived through
Got-
this.
Really?
Yes, got leaked and
I don't know that
and was
story.
uploaded onto the internet, and that's when everyone started using the internet.
Yeah, that's when it became mainstream. Because it
Yeah.
was like the first celebrity sex tape uploaded online. So everyone was like, how do I see this sexual tape? And they were like, internet, sounds weird, but I got to see Pam.
And it's been the same ever since.
Exactly.
Porn has been driving innovation.
It has. Absolutely has. We had Blu-ray because of porn. We had VHS because of porn. All of the VR developments are coming, mostly because of porn.
Robotics.
Robotics, absolutely.
Robotics.
Prosthetics are getting better because of porn.
By the end of our lifetimes, we are going to be able to have, like, robotic partners, 100%.
It's like, yeah. All this is nice, but when can we fuck a robot? That's the only reason I'm here.
But that's the thing about humanity. Every time we get a new technology, it's either, how can I use this to kill something, or how can I use this to fuck
Yeah.
something? That's immediately the 2 directions we go in.
Or how can I get power with it, I guess, also.
Yeah.
That's a bit advanced. That's not quite the primal human need.
No? Okay.
I reckon it goes fuck, kill, power.
I think it depends on who you are.
Isn't that the thing? Is
Smash
that the
or
game?
pass the internet.
Next episode, Smash or Pass, and we do Smash or Pass for websites.
Oh, I would smash YouTube in a second.
That sexy red gets you going.
But with that, like, innocent white about it.
Twitter, Smash or Pass, Sophie.
Twitter, pass.
Twitter's too much of a toxic relationship for me. It's a bit clingy. And it always complains.
Too whingy.
So if it's fuck, marry, kill,
Too
it's
whingy, yeah. Oh, I'm killing Twitter. No, I'll kill Reddit. Oh, marry
But
Facebook.
Reddit
Fuck
can be
Twitter.
good.
marry Facebook.
I didn't say Facebook, did I? Did I?
You did say marry
Did I?
Facebook.
I want to marry YouTube. I will fuck
Wow,
Twitter,
that
and I
was
will
the
kill Reddit.
Freudian slip of the century. I think you're
Maybe.
probably thinking marry Facebook because all your friends are getting married on Facebook.
No, I don't use Facebook anymore except to talk to my mum.
Me neither.
That's literally all I use it for.
I deleted my Facebook years ago.
Very good.
Basically, when my parents came on Facebook, I was like, all right, and this is not my spot anymore.
Yeah, they made it uncool.
Yeah, it was like this weird, awkward phase for like half a year when my aunt would send me funny memes.
I understand the feeling, but Sophie, fuck, marry, kill. YouTube, Reddit, Twitter.
Okay. I would kill Twitter, marry Reddit, and fuck YouTube.
Okay.
Reddit can be good if you're in the right forums, I think. Reddit forums can be wholesome.
Like the not safe for work forums.
I feel like you're setting yourself up for a very abusive relationship there.
I do think so too.
I've been in some very helpful, some very wholesome Reddit forums.
Like what?
Any sort of... I remember when I had COVID, I was digging through the Reddit forums, just reading everyone being so supportive with like one another, like, you know, oh, it's all right, we'll get through this. This is what you should do on day 3. This is how you take care of yourself.
All right, Sophie, you just wait till you post like a mildly spoiler type thumbnail, and then you see how.
I mean, I never said I was on the One Piece Reddit. I never said I check the One Piece Reddit.
You have
I
to
said
set
it
some Reddit.
depends.
all of Reddit.
I
You're
said it
marrying
depends
all of
on
Reddit.
what forum you're on.
All of them. You're marrying all of Reddit.
You're not marrying just wholesome Reddit.
Nope.
Yeah, but think about YouTube as well. well. You've got scammers on YouTube.
Good point.
Scammers on Reddit. Like Reddit mods are mostly scammers that like take advertising money to put posts up to advertise.
That's actually true. Dude, that is actually true. Didn't that come out relatively recently?
Yeah, have we watched the
Like
same
another
video
case?
again?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
But Manu, yeah, it's up to you now. Fuck, marry, kill. Reddit, YouTube, Twitter.
I think I agree with you, Liam. I would fuck Twitter. I think Twitter's very fuckable.
I think Twitter can be, a nice down and dirty experience, but you don't want to stay there for too long.
Yeah, lots of not safe for work content on Twitter that you can fuck.
Yeah.
And it's not safe for work friendly, yeah.
Yeah, if you follow the right people, there's a lot of lewd stuff on Twitter as well. But just like a nice amount. It like dripples through your timeline occasionally.
Ripples.
I would kill Reddit.
Yeah.
I would marry YouTube as well. I
So
think.
we're going to be in a polygamous relationship with YouTube then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna make it work.
Good. Great. Sorry, Sophie. We're killing your lover, by the way.
We're in a polygamous relationship as bros.
Polygamous relationship.
Well, I killed your fuck buddy, so
Well, we killed your
Yeah.
we killed your husband.
We killed your life partner.
that's alright. I'm better off alone anyways.
That's sad.
Oh no, Sophie. You still got the friends you made along the way. That's actually, okay, this is a little bit unrelated to technology, I guess. Though I guess you could go that way also. I think we talked about this in the very first episode where I came out as a Disney hater. Or at least the classic Disney hater. Because I am watching like the Obi-Wan series and stuff right now on Disney Plus. But like, I think we talked about the fact, or I tried to argue that I think it's a bit toxic that we have, especially from Disney's side, but also in general Hollywood and books and whatever, this idea that if you don't have a partner, you can't be happy, right? And I think technology has made that even worse, where like all the time you're bombarded by everyone's being happy on Instagram, all your friends are getting married on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Do you guys feel, or Sophie, because you just said like you're better off alone, do you feel like...
Forever alone face.
Like, do you think you have to find a partner for life, or like finding the one, or whatever you want to call it, finding love? Is that something you feel is necessary to live a fulfilled life for you? I mean, Liam, for you, I guess the question is a bit different because if you said no,
you might be in big trouble.
Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble. Dude, imagine Liam going like, dude, nah, I think commitment's super overrated. So let me pose a question more to you, Sophie. But maybe Liam has an opinion on it as well. I'm curious to hear both of your thoughts on it.
I don't think that romantic love is necessarily, but in saying that...
Nice.
But I was really trying to avoid it, but there was no other way that I could put it. But in saying that, I do think that everyone, like if all your friends do have romantic partners and do start their own families, I think it is inevitable that you could start feeling lonely unless you branched out and found other friends or found other people that were maybe in a similar boat where they didn't have that, one other person or that specific family that they shared like their entire lives with. So, I mean, I've never really been someone who needs to have a boyfriend or needs to have a partner, but I do surround myself with like close friends and intimate, like people that I'm very close to and, that I have intimate relationships with, because I think it's important to have human relationships. Like I'm very close with my family, very close with my friends. Never been someone like that's big in relationships romantically, to the point that when my sisters thought that I was asexual or I was just in the closet for a really long time just because they could.
How did they think that?
Yeah, it was just a bit of a running joke in the family. But yeah, I think it is something that I think about. It is something that I'm a bit of a runt in the family. I get told by my sister's pregnant right now, very close to giving birth. And at every opportunity, my dad likes to remind us all that Sophie was a really ugly baby.
Wow.
She was a really ugly baby when she was young. She was really like scrunched up because I think I must have been like malnourished or something, and I was very squished up apparently. And he likes to remind us of the fact. I'm still the shortest of the family.
I would be surprised if anyone beat you for that.
You turned out just fine, Sophie.
Thank you.
Looking great.
Yeah, you're pretty alright.
Like I said, I'm perfect.
Yeah, indeed.
From my perspective, the the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the traditionally married man. Don't think that marriage is essential. I think that's kind of archaic. The only reason why I guess we did it actually in retrospect is because it was kind of expected of us that at some stage we would get married and we would do that thing because it's just the thing it is that people do. Legally, there's a lot of benefits to being married, and I think that's probably the best reason to do it if you do have that person who you want to spend the rest of your life with. But other than that, there's really no reason to, and even doing that, there's not necessarily a reason to, because de facto partners are increasingly well considered in the legal world.
Yeah, I've never really been big on marriage as an institution either. And to the point that when COVID happened and you weren't allowed to have big weddings anymore, I would think to myself, this would be the perfect time to get married, because I would not want to have to go through any of the big, organizing, and I wouldn't have to go spend money. But at the same time, I could have a day where I just dress up and feel like I'm the most important person in the world for my own day. That's without having the obligations of inviting people or anything.
The stress of wedding planning is ridiculous. It is one of the worst experiences I think you could possibly go through if you're actually planning it. It was a tough couple of months, I would say. More than a couple of months, but the day itself was really, really good and it was worth it. But it's a big fuck around just to, say that you're married, although I do enjoy calling Chantel my wife. Like, that novelty has never worn off. We're approaching our 5-year anniversary, actually, in a month.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations. Damn, that's really cool. Impressive, man.
Almost 10 years together as a whole.
Me personally, it's not like I would say I'd never get married. It's similar to me saying I'd never say I'd never get kids.
Get kids.
Just hold them.
Get kids at Walmart.
Hey, you come here.
I got myself a kid.
I'll just pick up a kid.
Yo, babe, I got a kid.
You make them sound like a disease. Oh, crap, I got kids.
I got kids.
I mean, dude, some people would probably argue that's kind of what it's like. I know people who look like that's what they think.
One day you'll wake up and be struck with a case of kids.
We caught the kids.
Daddy Manu.
That was unrelated to the kids. That's just what Liam calls me off
That's
camera.
just what we say.
We're going to clip that as well. Daddy Manu. Just Liam.
That's the highlight for 2-second highlight. No, but I do think it both are things. Marriage and kids is something. If you actually find someone, I think if you find someone who you've been together for a long time, and you're like, okay, no, this does seem to work, and I do want to spend the rest of my life with this person. I personally think I would probably get kids first. Because I think marriage is more something, as you said, there's benefits to it legally, but there's also downsides to it, right? If you get married and it doesn't work out in the end.
Oh, it is so hard to get a divorce. Ridiculously hard. It's like a year-long process.
Yeah, I feel like marrying someone would something I would probably prefer to do further down the road.
After you've both been afflicted with kids.
Yeah.
We both have them now. Might as well.
It's like, dude, they somehow they survived. However, I don't know how that happened under my parenthood, but that's how I kind of see it. But I feel like you could still be happy also with your career. Or a hobby or something. Or friends, whatever. Pet. So I think there's different ways to find fulfillment, but I definitely think you would probably argue, Liam, that, and I can see that if you find a partner that actually makes you happy, I can absolutely see why people say if you find the right person.
It just makes
life
easier having a person who we're basically just a life team. Which sounds corny as shit, but that's what it is. It's quite comforting to know that I don't have to do everything on my own. And we complement each other. We are stronger together than we are apart.
This turned very wholesome.
Very
sweet.
On the flip side, never get married to the person you do not feel 100% confident is that person. Because you are signing yourself up for the exact opposite effect, where the two of you are lesser together.
Have either of you ever experienced a relationship where you kind of feel a bit caught in it because it kind of has worn off, but you're
Every relationship prior to Chantel, yes.
Marrying the wrong person to me sounds like that, but 10 times, 100 times worse. You're legally now bound to this person.
Yeah, you can't just have a really bad breakup. You like have to go through courts and everything. And in New South Wales in particular, you are like
Settlements.
mandated to visit a therapist as well to go to couples counseling. Like you got to be really careful about getting married. It's not a decision you should just make on a whim.
Getting that Aussie therapist sounds terrible. All right, mate. You want to throw some shrimp on the barbie?
Let's fix this relationship, eh?
G'day, mate.
G'day, mates, plural, because it's couples counseling.
Yeah.
Oh, right, it's mates. Yeah.
You started off really strong, Manu, and then it slightly turned British.
Yeah, you always do that with
Oh,
Australian.
did it?
To be fair, you're just diving
I'm
into
working
our
on it.
history, I suppose.
I'm learning. I'm learning by doing. That's like when you learn a language and you just, at some point where you kind of can communicate, but you know you'll make a shit ton of mistakes, you just have to do it and just embrace it. Embrace the mistake. That's what I'm doing with my Australian accent.
Yeah, embrace
And
them.
we applaud you for it.
Thank you.
We're good mates. But speaking of relationships and bringing this back to technology, something that I find very interesting is how big dating apps are now, to the point where Tinder.
Oh, I was thinking
you
about
brought
that
this
topic
up,
as well.
You brought this up earlier, man. Tinder, started off as
you
just
did.
hooking up. Just started off as hooking up. But now, it's just normal for everyone to find even, actual relationships on Tinder or other dating apps.
It also used to be very socially unacceptable to be on Tinder. Like, if you met someone on Tinder, you would hide that fact and you would just make up a story like, we met at the place it is where we both were that one time,
Yeah.
right, honey? Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
We were
yeah. Oh,
friends of
yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had mutual friends. Yeah.
No, I have a ton of friends who actually met on dating platforms at this point. And I think
Yeah.
it's become relatively, nobody says anything anymore, I think.
Which is interesting because I guess it comes back to this whole recommended thing. Like, do dating platforms go on that recommended business? They absolutely do, because you put in all of your preference and then you get fed partners the way you get fed targeted ads.
Though again, same as with the Google or Amazon, you can buy your way to the top, I guess.
Can you do that? Can you actually do that?
Yeah.
Really?
Certain
I
dating
didn't know that.
websites, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can do that on Tinder.
I had no idea.
Can you?
So what, it's like Tinder Pro and they'll recommend your profile.
Tinder Gold.
I know there's Tinder Gold and there's probably 5 different
there?
types of Tinder as well.
What? I thought I was just
Absolutely.
making that up.
No, there is.
Oh my god,
I know
there is.
you can pay a shit ton of money on Tinder.
Wow, Tinder's becoming very play to win all of a sudden. It's like Diablo Immortal. Jeez. I wonder what the most amount of money you could spend on Tinder is.
Probably a bunch. It's been a while, but when I was the first time in Japan, I was on Tinder here 4 years ago. I'm not sure how much it has changed, but it was really hilarious because basically what Tinder in Japan is, instead of you have either faces, but the faces are with masks and filters, so you don't see anything, and then a lot of pictures of favorite food. And so it's just so you most profiles is just cake, yakitori, kimchi, someone with a mask until here and blurred face. It's really weird.
Would you appreciate that? Do you think that's a benefit? Because I don't know, I think I could, I might be disappointed if I went on a date and the person that I was on a date with, we were just very incompatible. I think that could be a service where I find out, we like the same cuisines, we like
the same food. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
he might
We've got
look like the
similar
cucumber
hobbies.
on this image, but so yeah, I think dating apps in Japan, also from what I hear from friends, is a very unique experience.
Tinder membership prices cost more if you're over 30 years old, according to this.
really.
Wow, that's ageist.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so especially since I'm over 30 years old now, I am personally offended by this, but Tinder membership pricing if you're under 30 years old. If you want Tinder Platinum for 1 month, $19.99.
There's Tinder Platinum.
Yes. Tinder Platinum 1 month if you're over 30 years old, like certain people in this call, $39.99.
That's double.
Yes, that is pretty much double the price of if you're under 30.
That's really rude.
Just put in your fake age.
It's really rude, isn't it, Sophie? Yeah, from now on, I'm 29, and I can probably
On
get
Tinder,
away
at
with
least.
that for a few years. But it's wild. Why? Why you...
Yeah.
I just want to keep it young and sexy.
That's so rude. But 30's not even old. And I'm not just saying that because you're here, Liam.
I appreciate that, Sophie. But yeah, the Tinder framework is under 30,
Ouch.
over 30. So if you're over 30, you may as well be
Interesting.
70, 80.
Wow, yeah.
You're basically rotting away in the eyes of Tinder.
That
One
is
reason
cool.
for it is because they might assume that over 30s have more disposable income.
That's
and
true.
they might be more desperate to find someone,
Yeah.
so they're willing to pay more.
Yeah, but again, that's just targeting insecurities. And
Over 30. Enter your favorite retirement home. Again, that's how we started this entire thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe towards the end of this podcast, let's leave the realm of love.
And enter hate.
Because I kind of be curious, is there like technologies like from movies or like anything like you'd love to see in the future? You'd love to have like, I don't know, like lightsabers or something.
Sophie,
Yes.
I've got a really good app idea that I really wanted to get started, and I hear that it has already started, but I haven't seen it, and I don't see it being used very often. So this is my brilliant app idea: is that I would like to see an app where I could play like scrimmage, like social basketball, because I don't have a lot of friends, like female friends, who also play basketball, but I'm not very good at basketball to play with a lot of my friends who are guys who play basketball. So I'd like to be able to meet up with people.
Why is that, Sophie?
Why do I suck at basketball? Do you really want me to say it, Manu?
I imagine
I'm-
you
I
could
don't
just
know why.
zip around the court, like
Yeah,
going through
I could
people's
fucking
legs and
dunk.
stuff, though.
I don't know
Yeah.
why I suck so much.
Like in Kuroko no Basket, you can. Did you watch Kuroko no Basket? You could be the
did.
phantom player that nobody sees.
Yes.
It's like, where did that pass come from?
Why does this team only have 4 members on court?
Unfortunately, that is not my life. I don't have superpowers on the court. So I would like one where you could put in your details and arrange to meet people for like sports and stuff
Isn't
like
that
that.
Meetup?
Match by height.
That's Meetup.
But what I would like to see also is I would like to see that extended, and I would like to have that joined, and I'd like to have some sort of agreement with, like indoor courts where I could find out their availabilities and we could book it in the same app, because it's a real mess around trying to find a free court in Sydney anyways, because a lot of them are already booked out. So I'd like that to become a thing.
Sophie's goal as a lawyer is to work in basketball court.
Objection on the basketball court. Yes.
Sustained.
3-pointers sustained. Actually, I watched a really cool video today. Again, unrelated. Recommended systems again on YouTube. I got recommended last minute 3-pointers, but they get more ridiculous every time, and it's like a 10-minute videos, and like 2 minutes into that 10-minute videos, they already start throwing from like one side of the court into the basket. So I was like, how is this getting any crazier? But it gets crazier. That was a really good video. I think you might enjoy it, Sophie. I might send it to you.
All right,
Wait, let me see
please
if I can
do.
find it.
You like both baskets and balls?
Yes, we're like putting balls in baskets.
Putting balls in the basket. Easter is a highlight for both of us. Anyways, I do think with this super hilarious joke at the end, this double combo that slapped everything into the Shadow Realm, it's a good point to wrap up this episode. If you want more Blue Banana Podcast, you can subscribe. And if you're already subscribed and you still want more, you've watched all our episodes, then you can support this podcast by becoming a member. And not only will you get a super cool badge of blue next to your name, which will make us value your life a lot more than everyone else's on this planet, but also you will get exclusive access to exclusive content only available for members. So consider that. And in exchange, we will use your money to try and make this podcast even
Nuclear
it's barely
powered.
imaginable. Nuclear powered.
We'll make
that's
a
the
Tinder
only, That's the
profile.
only way we could
A
possibly.
platinum blue banana Tinder profile.
God, the amount of members we would need because of me. We would need at least 8 members to get a 1-month platinum Tinder profile for this podcast.
We gotta. It's
Help
all
Liam.
our money at the moment goes into a Tinder profile for the Blue Banana Podcast. All right, signing out.
Bye.